Hi, everybody. Welcome to Friday. It's hard to believe that it is now May the 1st. I'm really happy to see some people joining us, and I'm assuming some more will pop on as we get going. So, where to start? So this is my fourth, which I'm very happy about, my fourth webinar with Autism Ontario since this sort of change of things has happened. So what I think I'll do, how I'll start, is I will go through a bit of the agenda. So that means the stuff that I'm hoping to talk about today. I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and I'll also tell you a little bit about this interface, which means this way we're communicating. Maybe I'll start with that, just because I think maybe we have some new people on here. So this interface, you guys can all see me, but I can't see any of you. So I just want you to know that. I know some people maybe have been using Zoom with school, maybe with some friends, different Skype, different things. So just want to let you know, you can see me, I cannot see you. Nobody else who's watching can see you either. So just want to let you know that. So it's sort of confidential. Nobody will see your names, except I'll tell you the time when I will see your name, but nobody else will. So one thing that's been really quite lovely about these webinars is that sometimes people have felt comfortable doing some back and forth, some communication. You can't do that through voice like I can, but what you can do, give me a second while I maneuver this. What you can do is I may ask some questions now and again. And so I'm going to bring up, this question box. There we go. Hold on. So, I've seen somebody's already made a comment about echo. Oh, maybe hopefully I can, maybe if I talk quieter, there'll be less echo. But I think what will happen is if I ask a question, people can comment, and I will. So I'm getting some direction from somebody who's helping. I'm going to move a little back, and maybe the echo will be less. There we go. So I'm going to ask a question. Sometimes I'll ask questions, and what I'll do is, if you're interested in that, so I'm just shaking that little thing. So your answers will pop up there. Nobody will see your name except for me, and nobody will see what you say except for me. And so what I will do is I will share for things that are relevant. I will share things that people have said. So that's private. I do see your name, but nobody else does. I see what you say. Nobody else does. So that would be fantastic if people feel like participating there. So I'm also getting another direction. So maybe I'm going to turn, I don't know if this will help. Okay, so I've turned down some volume a little bit, and I've moved back a bit, and hopefully that works okay. I just want to make sure I'm still visible within the screen. Yeah, there we go. So that is, and so down the side here, there are some other commands on the panel. So you can see the. There's some handouts. The handouts are my slides. They're both in English and French. Unfortunately, I'm only communicating in English today. Maybe fortunately for you, because I don't speak French. But the slides you can access over there as well. And there we go. Okay, so that's a little bit there about just how we'll interact. It will be for an hour, the webinar. I have a tendency to speak too much sometimes, so I'm going to try to make sure that we're done within the hour. And yeah, so I'm going to move on to the next slide, which is the agenda. So we're going to do a quick check-in after I go through the agenda, just to see how people are feeling, sort of what people are finding enjoyable during this time, what people are finding difficult during this time, that sort of thing. We'll talk a little bit about family, because we are all members of families, and families look different for everybody. And right now, you may be seeing some members of your family a lot, and if you have extended family, or if you have step parents or step siblings, that may look a little bit different right now. And we're going to talk about, as part of family, we're going to talk about siblings, so being a brother or sister, and how having siblings who have different needs can be really wonderful, but also means sometimes can be difficult as well. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about just general wellness, regardless of family and siblings, but we're going to talk about general wellness around structure and routine, morning and evening routines, some do's and don'ts that sort of happen right now. And we're going to talk a little bit about mindfulness, which I'll go into more detail about down near the end of the chat. But essentially, mindfulness means finding things to do that take all of, a lot of your attention. So, when we all have worries sometimes. So when you have worries or things that are popping up in your head, mindfulness is something that you can do that takes, a lot of attention and focus, and that you can do hopefully without thinking about some of those other things. So we'll talk about all of the different ways that that teens and kids, not all the different ways, some of the different ways that you can find ways to be focused on something that you enjoy. And then a guided visualization at the end will do as well. So that's that. A little bit about me. So I'm just going to go back to the first slide just to show my name again. So my name is Stephanie Moeser. I am a social worker here in Peterborough, Ontario. So Peterborough is about an hour and a half away from Toronto. And I'm from Toronto originally, but as I mentioned, I have two kids myself. And many years ago, we just wanted to make a change and come up to a bit of a quieter city. So I've been in Peterborough for almost 7 years now. And I'm a social worker, as I said. So social worker means that one of my goals is to help lots of different types of people if they have things that are coming up in their lives or things that they want to talk about, if they're having some worries, talking about some of those sorts of things and helping people find ways to manage some of those things, some of those worries that we all have from time to time. So I work a lot with people on the spectrum. So autistic folks, people with autism who are teenagers, some kids, and some adults. I work with parents too, and I work with brothers and sisters sometimes too. When I used to work in Toronto, I used to run siblings groups, so groups for brothers and sisters. I haven't done that since being in Peterborough, but definitely something I miss. So maybe something I'll consider again. So that's a little bit about me. I also teach part-time at a college, and I'm learning how to do some of this stuff online, which is a little bit different. I imagine some of you for school are learning to do things online too. So it's a new way of interacting. I'll be honest, don't like it quite as much as in person, but and I'm sure people are not liking that they can't see their friends in person. But sometimes during times like this, even though we can't do things that we would like to do, it's important to try to find some ways that we're still modifying or finding new ways to do things, new ways to interact. So normally this would be something I would do face-to-face in a group of people, but can't do that now. So we found with Autism Ontario, have found new ways to interact with people. And it's different, but it still works. So that's a little bit about me. And I'm going to go to the check-in. So this is the time I'm hoping that people will feel okay to answer in the question and answer box. It really sort of makes the webinar a little bit more enjoyable. The other thing I wanted to point out is I don't know the ages of people here. So there could be some younger kids, and there could be some teenagers. There could be some parents who are here to supporting all their children. So it's just helpful if people wouldn't mind, some people telling me your age, just so I sort of know the general age of people that I'm talking to. So here we go. In this little box, the question and answer box, if people are comfortable, can you type your age for me? And okay, so there's somebody. Oh, there's an older person. There's an adult. So the person who just answered their age, are you a sibling? So the adult who answered. So we got a 15-year-old, somebody who's an adult. Other people as well. Oh, we got a 6-year-old. Welcome. Anybody else? It's a small group online today, but I know there's more than these people have answered. Okay, actually though, so those answers that we got there tells me I have a big age range. So I got a 6-year-old here, a 15-year-old, and somebody who's an adult. So I'm gonna try to make this. Okay. So now and I'm just reading somebody else. We do have some parents here too. Great. So somebody who has 2 children, a 9-year-old who's on the spectrum, an 11-year-old neurotypical person. So thank you. So that's helpful for me. So take what you can from this. Some people are okay. So then it looks like there's a. Okay, so it looks like there's somebody's watching with a child who is a sibling. Okay, so that's 11-year-old. So that helps me. So thank you for letting me know. I've shut the question and answer box for now. So thanks for letting me know the age ranges. So I'm going to try to make it as informative for all age ranges, but it is large age ranges I have here. So we're going to do a quick check-in. Now, another question I'm going to ask. So for people who are on here who are comfortable answering, just how are you feeling right now? Are there relaxing times, fun times? Has it been hard? So in terms of being away from school for the kids, how has that been? Have you found that hard being away from your friends? And for so there's a 15-year-old on here as well. For teenagers, has that been difficult? Or are there moments that you're enjoying being home? So I'm not seeing any answers right now. I'll leave the screen up for a second in terms of people want to tell me how they're feeling and how they're doing right now. And I'll tell you a little bit about my family. So as mentioned, so I am... Okay, here we go. So some people are saying so this is a parent who's saying that their child is missing the school routine. Somebody's saying, so far I've been good with my grades and using Zoom to connect. So somebody said, it's been challenging. They have a member in long-term care, and somebody that they're able to work in the community and keep themselves busy. Yeah, so there are lots of different emotions that kids are having, that adults are having, that are all okay to have. And that's something what I want people to know, that one of my big things that I want people to know, and again, I'm talking to kids here and adults, that there are lots of different emotions that are going to come up. There are lots of feelings that you're going to have, and it's going to be different from person to person, and that's okay. Not to judge yourself for all the different feelings that you're having. So a little bit about what's happening in my house is somebody said they're happy to be home with family, and I think a lot of people are feeling that way too. So in my house. I think just so you know my context or what I'm going through or what's going on in my life, I'll let you know. So I have 2 children myself, both neurotypical. So I don't have any kids on the spectrum. I have 2 daughters. So one's in grade 8, and one's in grade 4. One's a 9-year-old. And I'm gonna go in more detail in a little bit. But I'm lucky to be working. So obviously I'm doing this webinar. I teach part-time at Fleming College, and I'm going to be teaching this summer online, and I am, as I said, a social worker, so I'm seeing clients virtually through video as well. So I'm busy. My husband also is able to work from home, and his work has been quite busy as well. I say that because I kind of feel bad. Not kind of, I do. I'm not able to. We're very, very lucky that we're still able to work, and not all families have that ability. Not all parents have jobs that they're able to keep working at, and I am able to. But because of that, I'm not able to help my kids as much or be with them as much. And each family is different, right? So some families probably are going through that too, that their parents are mom and dad, or mom and or dad, or whatever the family structure looks like. Sometimes the parents are busy working and can't spend as much time with kids. And that can be hard too. So that's some of the stuff that I'm navigating. Okay. So let's move on to the next slide. So we're going to talk a little bit family. So we are all isolated, from most of us, from our families and classmates. Sorry, from our friends and classmates, but we have our family. So we're really happy that somebody commented that they're happy to be home with their family. And for everybody, family looks a little bit different. So I told you who's in my family, my immediate family. I tell you, so my parents, who are my kids' grandparents, they live not too far from here. They live about 45 minutes away from where I live, but we haven't been able to see them. You know, we've been seeing, my mom's birthday's next week, my dad's birthday's the week after that, and it's Mother's Day, and I'm not going to be able to see them, and my parents aren't going to be able to, my kids aren't going to be able to see their grandparents, and that's hard, right? So these are some things, and it's okay that those feel hard and difficult. So I'm going to ask another question. So, oops, let me close that. So another question I'm going to ask is, you know, who's a part of your family that you're able to see every day? So if people want to answer that, like who's in your family that you see every day? So again, I see my husband every day. I see my kids. I'm sure my kids are a little bit sick of seeing me every day all the time. But I'm lucky enough that I get to see my kids every day. But I miss seeing my family. So my parents and my brother, he lives in Toronto, with his family, and I can't see him either. So, you know, but we find different ways to, so look, I'll pop oh, there we go. So somebody says they live alone. I'm laughing at the next comment because that was gonna be my next question. So somebody said I live alone, but I do see my two cats. So that was going to be a question too. I think pets really are an important member of people's families, and I'm glad brought that up. Somebody said they're living at home with their mom and with their dad. Mom's still working. I'm assuming maybe that's working outside of the house, maybe, and brother. So I think I know pets are a very important part of people's families, some more than others, and feel free to add that if you have pets that are important. I also have two cats, and my kids have some fish that I started talking to. So somebody said new dog and parents. Somebody said is at home with husband and two kids. Drive by to visit both grandmas. And somebody said mom, dad, and brother. So different people are and so I'm laughing. So somebody has a rabbit. They call them Mr. Hoppums. So I think it's important to sort of recognize that family means lots of different things to lots of different people. And some of the family we don't live with. I have very close friends who in some way I consider my family, who I miss very, very much right now. And I almost get emotional thinking about it, who I miss very, very much right now. And so you have to remain connected with people the way you can. So people talked about chatting, Zoom, and that sort of thing. So that's right. So thinking about who in your family, if there are people in your family that you can't see right now, I know that's hard. So thinking about, we did a funny thing with my parents last night. We played Jenga, and they tried to tell us which ones to move. So I think that's, you can be inventive. The other part there that I've mentioned is some people have more than one family, and some members of their family they can't see right now, and that's sad, And I'm going to keep talking about feelings. I think sometimes we don't talk about feelings enough. And it's okay that feels sad, I know some people who have step brothers and sisters or half brothers and sisters who they can't see. They can't go back and forth quite as easily. So we talk about ways to stay connected. And there's some wonderful things about being with family. So being at home with family, there's some wonderful, wonderful things about that. And I'm wondering, again, I'm trying to make this interactive, if people can tell me some things that you are finding really quite nice and wonderful about being at home. For those people who are at home at family, some wonderful things that you're finding about being home with family. I will tell you. So, so every family is different. I have, most of the time, my kids sleep in their own rooms. My daughter had a really tough time last night sleeping. And almost all the time she sleeps in her room. So she did, for most of the night, sleep in her room. And very early this morning, I'm moving my computer screen. Hopefully you can see it. So very last night, I'm in my bedroom right now. So there is, oops, moving the wrong way. There's Uni. Her big unicorn that came into my room last night or early this morning. So let's chat a little bit about some of the great things about being home with family. Where's my question answer? There we go. Somebody say seeing their parents in a new light. So lots of bonding going on. Somebody said they don't need to wake up as early. I'm being. We're going to talk about routines. I'm being very careful to still try to get up at a decent time and having my kids wake up at a decent time. But that's also been helpful with people. Anybody else? Some good things about being home with family right now? So I'll say some. So my kids are. This is going to be a good thing and a challenging thing. My kids are. Their ages are so a parent said they're getting a lot more cuddles from kids. So if you're one of my kids, I'm getting a lot more cuddles, the one with the unicorn. My other child is not a cuddler at all. My 13-year-old, she doesn't like hugs or cuddles, and so we've had to sort of make sure that she has her space, right? And make sure that she's okay having some time alone in her room. Other good things about being home, would you say? So I would say, again, we played Jenga as a family last night, with my kids being fairly far apart in age. Sometimes that interaction doesn't happen as much. So there's been some sort of really nice interactions, more family dinners, more good food being cooked at home. So just, slowing things down a little bit has been helpful, I think, as a family, and realizing that you can spend some more time, and hopefully as kids, you're getting to spend more time with your brothers and sisters as well, and with your parents. Okay, let me move this down. And let's just be honest. Sometimes it's also hard to be around the same people all the time, even family. So it's going to school and leaving the house for work. So kids going to school every day, it's great for so many different reasons. So when you get to go to school every day, you get to see other adults, your teachers, you get to learn things from different people, you get to play with your friends, and parents get to, see people outside of the house. So it can be hard to be around the same people all of the time. I'm sure my kids are getting annoyed with me a little bit. The amount of times I ask them to clean their rooms. I don't know if anybody's comfortable also talking about some of the hard things being around family all the time. So I'll bring the question and answer box up again. Okay. So if people, sort of the hard things being right, maybe if you have brothers and sisters, like some of you definitely do, maybe not being able to do the activities you want to do. I think kids who are in school, sometimes having access or being able to use computers for school can be tough. Having to share that can be tough. So somebody said they're an introvert and living with all extroverts. So for people who may not know what that means. So an introvert is I'm an introvert. An introvert is somebody who likes their own space and likes to have quiet time. And so if you're living with people who really like to sort of talk a lot and be around people a lot, that can be tiring, right? And so being at home with all the same people, that can be a little bit tiring. And it's okay to need to have breaks from people. Okay, so I'm going to I guess I'm bringing that up again to know that it's okay to feel really, really good about having being home with family, and it's okay to find moments that it's tough, right? So somebody said it feels like days. Yeah, I agree. It feels like days are repeating and it gets tiring. Yeah, and I think that's I won't say the name of the person, but the person who said that, I think that's a really good way of talking about it, that it can get tiring when the days feel the same. And so I think that's why it's important to find interesting things to do, have friends to connect with if you can. So my 9-year-old has found ways to play this specific game. I think it's not Minecraft, but that type of game online with a friend. These things can get tiring. Oops, hopefully you didn't see that. Okay, there we go. Okay. So we're going to move on to the next slide about being a brother or sister. So it's all different. All different ways what siblings relationships can be. So you being a brother or sister and having a brother or brothers and a sister or sisters is a wonderful thing. So let's chat about that. So what are some great things about? Oh shoot, I don't know what happened there. Oh, there we go. What are some great things about being a brother or sister and having a brother and sister? So maybe people can let me bring this up. People can talk about that. So, maybe I'll just go down a little bit on the slide. Oops. So, so I have an older brother. So my brother is 3.5 years older than me, and we are very different. Actually, in some ways, very similar. On first glance, we're very different. So I'm a bit bigger, and I am not tall, and he's super skinny, very athletic. He's 6'3", very athletic. And so when we were younger, he was really into the sports. He was sporty, very good hockey player, and was always, I bring that up because we were always out doing appointments and things for him. And he, so my older brother also has, when he was a teenager, had to get some extra help from professionals for something. And so I was often having to go to appointments. And, I remember my parents being a little bit concerned about him and worried, and some of the attention really went to him. And I think, we were living through this time as children, me and my brother right now. I think a lot of attention would have gone to him because he would have needed it. Would have been hard sometimes for me. But that's, sometimes in families, brothers or sisters have extra needs, and that's okay. I think most siblings understand that, but it can be difficult at times. And I was going to say too, so as I've said, I have 2 daughters. And so one I have to help more than the other. So I have a 9-year-old, and she needs, she has a little bit more difficulty, a lot more difficulty reading, and writing and that sort of thing. And so she needs a lot more support, one, because of her age. She's 4 years younger than my other daughter. And because, especially with online learning right now, we need to give her a lot of attention. So that's hard as a parent to try to figure out how to make sure that both my kids are getting the attention they need. And I'm sure that's hard for my kids as well. But there's some great things that happen about having a brother and sister. There's people that you can play with and interact with and spend time with and watch movies with and, play. We've been playing Just Dance, so playing lots of different games. So having company and somebody that you can talk to or spend time with can be really a nice thing. So I'm going to bring up the question and answer thing again. There we go. So, there we go, this one. So it's nice to just have someone to joke around with. That, yeah, for sure. So know somebody that you can share some jokes with. Does anybody else want to talk about some good things about having siblings home with you right now, brothers or sisters home with you? So somebody to joke around with, spend time with. Okay. And the other thing is sometimes being a brother or sister and having a brother or sister can sometimes be challenging or frustrating, especially now. I know that my 9-year-old keeps walking in the room for my 13-year-old while she's chatting with her friends online, video chat. And, my 13-year-old has a lot more social interaction right now with her friends than my 9-year-old does. And I think that's been tough, and she keeps popping in. And again, I need to spend more time with my younger daughter. And I would imagine, I could be wrong. And as I said, I'm working too. So it's finding that balance, right? It's finding that balance. I would imagine, and you guys can feel free to answer if you'd like, that so there's some challenges of being home with the brother and sister, especially if your brother and sister, has, sometimes people on the spectrum have some extra needs and need some extra supports. And I know from the siblings I talk to that they completely understand that and respect that. Although sometimes it is difficult, right? Sometimes that can be hard when some of the attention needs to go there. So somebody said the good thing is somebody to play with, and so somebody's answered here. So this is a long answer, so I'm just skimming it. Okay, so somebody said, and kind of what I just said there, so this is a dad who's answered, so that his daughter loves her brother very much, but can find it challenging when the son doesn't respect the daughter's needs. So again, that's a boundary thing, right? Which is, okay. And the other part that was said there was that sometimes, older siblings, or not older or older and younger siblings, sometimes need to help out a little bit around helping with helping kids learn the right ways to do things, to learn boundaries, all that sort of stuff. Somebody said, me and my brother are home all day in the same game room and usually don't find any challenges, so that's great. And I think, everybody's experiences are their own experiences. So some people may find it hard. For the kids who are on here, the little kids, older kids, and the parents who are parenting multiple children and siblings. First of all, for the kids, what I want to ask the kids to try to do, teenage kids, younger kids, sometimes parents are having a hard time right now too, managing their work, managing kids, and sometimes they forget to ask how you're doing. Most parents try to do a great job with that, and some parents, may think everything's okay because they don't know. So if you're having a tough time at all, what I'd like you to do, if you feel safe doing it, is telling your parents what you need. It could be I need a little bit more alone time away from everybody in my room. I need to not do as much schoolwork right now. I'm finding it difficult. I need somebody to talk to. So if you're having a tough time in any way, don't wait for somebody to ask how you're feeling. Try. I know it's hard, but try to reach out to a parent and let them know that maybe you need something a little bit different. I know some siblings who share the same room, and that's tough. but to maybe even setting aside time that you have just for yourself, setting aside time that's your time, your iPad time, or whatever it may be. And for parents who are watching, I know everybody's doing a fantastic job and sort of juggling lots right now. And I'm going to get to this sort of idea of placing too much shoulds on yourself. But for the parents out there too, just take, I think I even support kids, I support parents, and sometimes I forget to ask how people are doing. I find at nighttime, kids want to talk a little bit more. So maybe just being aware of that, leaving space for that, to ask how kids are doing. And sometimes I find it really interesting. So the parents out there, even asking, are there things that I could be doing differently to help? And sometimes kids have really, really great ideas when we give them sort of space to have that conversation. Okay, I'm just bringing up the question and answer slide now and again because I think sometimes I'm missing it. Oops. Yeah, so what's happening? Okay, am I okay on this? Somebody said, okay, I'm good. Thank you. I was missing those things in the background. Sorry if people are having a challenge if I froze there. Okay. Okay, let's move to the next page. Sometimes I get distracted. There we go. This is really great where I'm doing my webinar. Just full disclosure, when I'm doing my webinar, I have a park across the street. I'm doing my best not to look at the puppies that are running at the park across the street. And some of the things I already mentioned. So talking about your feelings and asking for help. So everyone has the right to feel different things. So, so some people may be having a really easy time of it right now, and sometimes people may be having a harder time. And I think sometimes siblings, brothers or sisters, of kids of people with autism, but also just any brother or sister, sometimes forget that it's okay to say, even when the attention is going to make some more attention and focus maybe going on one sibling, it's okay to say, I need some extra help. So what feelings are you having? We've talked a little bit about that. So who can you talk to about your feelings? So for sure, parents. If you're feeling safe, talk to your parents. For those people who have connections with friends, I think that's a really good resource to say, can we chat a little bit? I'm feeling a little lonely. Pets are a big thing, I think. So it's okay. I was talking to my fish the other day. It's okay to ask for help, as I said, and say you need. And some structure and routine can help with managing your feelings. So we're going to move on to that slide. So this is a slide for people who've been watching these for the last couple of weeks. It's a slide that I've kept all the time because it's important for everybody. So it's really helpful to try to wake up at the same time every day. So structure and routine can be really helpful. So first of all, managing feelings, all the feelings that you're having, talk to parents about it, but things that can be helpful to make things just in general feel better for little kids, for bigger kids. So structure and routine for the little kids who are watching. The younger ones just means knowing what you're doing every day. So kind of getting up at around the same time every day is helpful. So either set an alarm for that or check with parents or guardians around what time to wake up. Somebody I said a little earlier that they get to sleep in a little bit, and my kids do as well. But we're still trying to get up around the same time every day. So we're all kind of out of bed by 8:30, which in our family is okay. Different families have different expectations and things that are okay. Trying to eat healthy food and at the same time every day. Your parents may have to remind you, or they may be making you meals. So try to have good, healthy food if you can. Exercise. So exercise is really, really, really important, and it can be fun. And we'll talk a little bit about what that could look like. Relaxation. So that, I'm talking to a lot of people are playing this game called Animal Crossing lately. which is kind of a slow-paced video game, and people are finding that relaxing. Doing Lego. I, to be clear, do not find Lego relaxing. I find it very frustrating. But finding something that you can do either by yourself or maybe even with your family that can be relaxing. We talked about connecting with others and, even having scheduled times to connect with grandparents or friends. So when I say here, treat these as intentions and not as hard and fast rules, that really just means that, we're all doing the best we can right now. And sometimes we're not going to be exercising every day. Sometimes we're not going to have moments of relaxation, but what we have to try to do, and sometimes we're not going to connect with people. But try to do the best we can with all those sorts of things. I'm going to keep talking because, as usual, I'm talking too much to get through the slides. But if people want to comment on things that you're doing for exercise, I have been doing just a dance with my kids, and I have been going out for walks, which has been nice. And I know some people aren't comfortable going out for walks right now, which is totally fine and understandable, especially if you live in parts of the city or parts of Ontario that are busier. But what are you doing? So somebody said, so in their family, they're all taking a turn cooking dinner. That's a great idea. Maybe I'll have to have my kids do that a little bit. So other things that people are doing for relaxation or fun or exercise. So I'm going to close the chat screen on my end. You guys can keep commenting, and I'll go back to it a little bit. So feel free to write down things that you're doing for exercise, relaxation. The other thing I'm doing for relaxation is I've actually downloaded some coloring pages. So coloring is not just for little kids. I've enjoyed the bright colors of different flower coloring pages, and that's been a nice relaxing thing for me to do at the end of the day. And they're pretty. I like bright colors. Okay. So some basic things that we all should remember to be doing, but really helps manage sort of stressful feelings. So what stressful feelings for the younger kids means is is when our body feels a little bit strange when things have changed, and it doesn't feel so fun. So the things you can do to help, so making sure that you're drinking lots of water. So interestingly, I've had one here the whole time and I have not been drinking it. That's something simple thing. I've had a hard time remembering to do that. So it's really healthy to do that. I often kind of joke, treat yourself as you would a house plant, a plant. So trying to get sunlight when you can. The weather has not been very nice in my neck of the woods lately. It's very overcast the last few days, so there hasn't been much sun. That being said, I did go outside every day, and I've sat, if you're lucky enough to have a porch or a balcony, and it's safe to do so, to go out on those or to go for a walk. It's the weather this weekend, which is fantastic. It's supposed to be nice. So opening up a window, so getting some fresh air if your parents say that's okay. Remember, as I said, remember to eat regularly. Sometimes people forget to eat. Strange thing, I know, but sometimes people do. So remembering to do that at times. Pets, if you have pets, spend time with your pets. There's lots of research of people say that when you spend time petting cats or dogs, or somebody said they have a rabbit, that can be really helpful. As I said, my family has been joking with me because I've been talking to the fish. I'm just going to bring up the question and answer. Okay. So if anybody else wants to comment on things that they've been doing to take care of their health, their physical health, that would be great. Feel free to do that. Okay. Having a clear start and end to your day, and a bedtime routine. So that's also really important. So I'm going to move to the next one. So structure. So somebody said that the days feel like they're repeating over and over again. And in my experience, it also feels like they're kind of blending into one another. And it's hard to believe it's already May, yet the middle of March seems so long ago, and it's kind of a strange feeling. But sometimes having a clear start to the day, end of the day is helpful. So it's kind of funny. When I talk with clients, I often ask them as a joke, but not really. So what day of the week is it? What month? So sometimes people forget that. So believe it or not, just a reminder, it is May 1st today. So we're going into hopefully warmer weather. But it can be helpful for people to know what day of the week it is, especially if you're doing school on certain days. That can be helpful. Somebody said they're making sure they just don't sit in the basement and eat junk food all day. So going for bike rides when it's safe to, and taking their dog for a walk. And I think that's important to find those times. Getting into new clothes every day. And I've had to remind my kids to do that. But there are some days, I will be honest. Yesterday, I let my daughter wear her pajamas all day. So there's a few days here and there that I'm like, okay. But I think it's important to try to make sure that you're getting into new clothes. I wear makeup when I'm working, and that helps me feel better. Nobody can see my fancy shoes that I'm wearing right now, but I have certain shoes that I like to wear when I'm wanting to feel good and work, and so I put them on for the webinar today because it helps me feel better. So you do those things that maybe help you feel better and feel like you're sort of being active in the day. When you wake up, maybe consider for some of the little kids on here, so younger kids, if there are things you want to do for the day, maybe draw pictures of it, of things that you want to do. It could be playing a game. It could be spending time with your brother or sister. So you can sort of know what you want to do for the day. You may not get it all done, but it kind of gives you a bit of a plan. I mean, schoolwork needs to be in that plan too. But that can be helpful. Just popping this up to see if there's any. So feel free to make comments of things that you're doing, and I'll go back and read them afterwards for exercise or relaxation. So intentions for the day. So this is a slide that I had in last week when I was working with when I was doing the webinar for teens on the spectrum. I left the last one in, time for stimming, because sometimes, if your brother or sister is, so stimming means, so people on the spectrum as a way to manage feelings, happy feelings, excited feelings, sad feelings. So some children and teens and adults on the spectrum do something that they call stimming. So that may be rocking or pacing back and forth, repeating things. Some people sort of do some jumping and flapping their hands, and that can be, your brothers or sisters may be doing that more these days because of the change in routine. Some brothers and sisters may be okay with you sort of also being involved in that or being there when that's happening. So I left the stimming on there so you know what that means, and that's why your brother and sister may be doing that. But for yourself, especially when your parents may need to be spending some more time with your brother and sister and making sure that they're okay and they have their routine, make sure, as I said, that these are these things that we already talked about. So each day, try to do something fun. So try to do something relaxing. Trying to do something creative if you're a creative person. So drawing or painting if you have the materials at home to do that. Something productive. Now I think the productive part of things for kids these days is school. So, but being easy on yourself if you're not able to get all the work done. Teachers are very understanding of that these days. They want the students to be healthy physically, and them to be feeling good. So if you're not able to talk to your parents if you're having a hard time getting all the schoolwork done. So somebody said they're playing games with their cousin all the time, which is great. And maybe this person can answer a little bit more. Is this a cousin that you're playing games with online, like in person, or online? So it could be that your cousin's living with you. I'm not sure. But connection is really, really, really important as well. So making time, especially if you have brothers or sisters where your parents need to spend a little bit more time with them. Make sure that you're reaching out to friends and family. If you have extended family you can talk to, and make sure also you're telling your parents if you need a little bit more connection. Parents, in my experience, all parents want all their children to be happy and healthy. And sometimes one child needs a little bit more attention to the other. But if you're having a hard time with that, if you feel like you need a little bit more connection, make sure you tell them, make sure that they know that. And most of the time, most of the parents that I've talked to really, really want to know that from their kids. Hold on. So somebody said, okay, so somebody said the person who talked about playing games with their cousin, it was online because because it's more safe. Obviously, we're not supposed to be getting in touch in person with people we don't live with. But you can still remain connected with people, and online and virtually if you have the ability to do that, is a great way to do that. I know there's some online games you can play too that we're sort of investigating with friends, Scrabble games and things like that. So lots of really interesting, fun things you can do. Even writing letters. I have a friend in Ireland who has children, and my kids and her kids are writing letters to each other. And that sort of is a fun, letter writing is a fun thing to do. So I'm just conscious of the time. As I said at the beginning, I sometimes talk too much. So I'm going to go through these slides sort of quickly because we talked about it already. I also think, the reason why people are being really interactive. So that's helpful. So we got about 10 more minutes. So bedtime routine. So try not to go to bed too late. I know that's kind of a fun thing of being home and not having to go to school. Eventually things are going to get back to normal. They will. And, I think it's important that your sleep routine remains somewhat stable and the same. So for little kids, if your parents are letting you stay up a little bit more, that's great. But try to get good night's sleep. Brushing teeth and showering and all that stuff is still just as important as before. In my mind, even more important because it helps you just feel good. Making sure you're doing that, making sure that you're doing all those things and listening to your parents. I've had some people I'm working with, so some people who see me for counseling who haven't been changing their clothes every day. And people are like, "Oh, what's the point? We're not seeing people." It's still good to feel good about yourself, to make sure that you have new clothes on each day. Before bed, listen, especially for the younger kids, but also for the older, listen to your parents if they're telling you to turn things off earlier. It can be hard to fall asleep. People also are saying they're having weird dreams these days. Lots of people have strange dreams these days for some reason. But try to maybe instead of playing video games or chatting with friends or using iPads right before bed or any technology, try just to listen to music maybe or read a book, things like that, because it can help you fall asleep a little bit better. And so a body scan is when you step by step lie in bed and think, okay, I'm going to relax my head and then my neck and then my shoulders. So those are things bit by bit you can sort of run down your body to make it feel a little bit more calm. And that can help you sleep. So limit caffeine. So I know there's some younger kids who may not be having caffeine, but for teenagers, if you drink pop with caffeine and things like that, limit it before bed. Don't limit it a lot. Have it very little. Junk food as well, limit that as well. Make sure you're eating healthy foods. Try to limit naps. So you're still able to sleep okay at nighttime. For some people, some naps may be important right now if they're feeling overwhelmed, but try not to sleep too much. And again, exposure to social media. Just conscious of the time. So mindfulness, we talked a little bit about mindfulness at the beginning, but what that really means is finding things that you can do, that you can, put your full attention to, that you, if you have worries and stuff, that you're sort of able to focus that attention somewhere else. So I'm just going to skip through these actually, I think, because of some of the ages of kids. But so for people who are, so mindfulness activities, are there things that people, and I don't think I'm going to do the visualization at the end. I'm not going to do that today, just because of the wide range of ages. So I may just take a few more minutes here instead of doing the guided visualization. So let me just bring up the question and answer to make sure I'm not missing anything. Oh, okay. So, so in terms of just the last couple of minutes where I want to spend some time with, what mindfulness, I want to go back to that. So, it means paying attention in a particular way on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmentally. So when I am baking and cooking, that's when I'm doing things really mindfully. I'm really enjoying it. I'm having to put focus to it. When my kids do Lego, it's the same thing. When I do the coloring pages, it's the same thing. So are there activities that you like to do where you put a lot of focus in it? So things that you can do at home. So that could be in playing video games, right? So maybe people can comment on things that you do where you have to put focus on. So it could be Lego, it could be building things, it could be Play-Doh, it could be different things where you put your focus that you enjoy. If you don't have any of those things, maybe think about things that you can do. You like to draw pictures. A lot of artists do that mindfully, meaning they put a lot of focus on that, a lot of attention on that. And I think it's really important when you are looking at wellness and looking at doing things that you enjoy, that you find that you have things like that during the day that you can do. Oops. What did I do here? I feel like I just lost my slides. Hold on, there we go. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to skip through these shoulds. I'm going to go to expectations. So wellness. So things that you can do to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. So we talked a lot about different exercise, relaxation, drinking water. So what are some things that you think you could do more of? Asking for help too, and asking for telling parents how you're feeling, and other people in your life about how you're feeling really does help to take care of yourself. Maybe you can jot down or type down a few things. So somebody said they like to put their focus on competitive games online. And so I think I'm talking to a lot of people who are finding that helpful, to find that focus there. And then another comment is, what are people doing for wellness right now? What are some things that you're doing for wellness? I am trying to go for a walk. I was going to say every day, but now it's been, I've shifted my expectation, and I've been doing it like every couple of days to make sure that I'm doing that. That's for my wellness. I've been eating lots of fruits and vegetables, which that's been helpful for my wellness. I've been connecting with friends. My kids have been doing the same thing. They're eating good food, connecting with friends, little treats now and again. That's okay. So, I want people just to think about ways that they can increase their wellness, and things that you can do to make sure that you're taking care of yourself during this time. Yeah, and so the last slide that I want people to sort of pay attention to is, in times of challenges, there are often things that make us feel grateful or bring us moments of joy. It could be small, simple things. As I said, as I was talking here, looked outside, and there's a puppy in the park across the street. Such a small thing, but it is enjoyable. Yesterday, while I was on the phone, I had to stand on the porch for a second, and these ducks came across the street from the park and seemed to walk up to me. So little things like that sometimes we may not pay enough attention to. Spending time with my kids, that's been really nice. So I think, as I said, it's really important. If you can start the day writing down a few things, intentions or goals for the day, and, consider as a good way to end the day, either have a journal, which I have a journal, and write down 2 or 3 moments of time with your family, time with your brother or sister, time with friends online or chatting, or seeing grandparents as you drive by their house, or seeing flowers. There's tulips coming up here. I know that it is really, really helpful to have those things that you enjoy. Somebody said they have ducks swimming in their pool. Thanks for the clarification. Wild ducks. Yeah, they're the ducks are all out around here too. But yeah, so I think, taking the time to write down things at the end of the day that you're enjoyed reminds us that even though things are hard, there are some good things as well. Yeah, so I just want to thank everybody to come out today. There is at the side, and when you came online today, there is, you can find my past webinars there that you can register for. I may go over the hour just by a little bit. All the webinars, yeah, they're on demand, so you can go and all you have to do is register and you can get them. Autism Ontario has done a number of different webinars for autistic folks, for parents, for caregivers, and I think there's keep track of Autism Ontario's website, where you'll find all of them that are coming, and they have a Twitter, of course, they're in their Facebook page, and that they're sort of. I don't work for Autism Ontario, but they've asked me to do these workshops, and. You can connect with them virtually on the virtual section on their webpage, and they've done some really great things in terms of trying to help families stay connected. And so keep a look on that. I am doing some blog posts for Autism Ontario about wellness and mindfulness, and I'm going to do one specifically for kids, for siblings, and one section will be about older siblings, and one section will be about younger kids. So you can check that out. I'm going to put that on my own Facebook page. So my business Facebook page is Rediscovery Counseling. So Rediscovery Counseling. My name's on it as well. And it's also in the handout section is the link to my Facebook page. So you'll see stuff in writing that I've been doing about this will be coming up there. So thanks everybody for joining today. Take some time to take care of yourself. It's not selfish. And make sure that you're talking to parents and other ones about how you're feeling these days, because I think it's important that everybody knows that. Okay, so take good care and see you later. Bye.